Another big interview.
The world's biggest stars.
On the 947 Top 40 with Zweli. Powered by CTM.
Quite a few big things that have happened, since the last time that we spoke. A couple of single releases, and just checking by your social media, I can imagine that live gigs are the big thing right now. You guys are super excited to just get up on the stage, do your thing again. And I mean, how does that feel to be able to connect once again with the fans?
It's been really amazing. I mean, we, luckily we've been based in America for the past 5 years, and they've managed to roll out the vaccines much quicker here. So, things opened up a lot quicker than, we're hoping that the same thing's going to happen in South Africa over the next 6 months. Things going to do the same. I mean, follow the same trajectory, but it's been pretty amazing. It's like we've done a bunch of gigs now, and they've all just been like, I think Dom's little phrase for it is it's like spring break for adults. Everyone's on rage, basically. Every night's rage nights. It's
plet rage.
It's like plet rage everywhere. Doesn't matter where. We were in Nashville, Tennessee on the weekend. We were in some place called Charleston, South Carolina, and didn't even know where that was on a map until we got booked for the gig. And it's just everything is full send. It's just full send the whole way. And it's cool to see, and it's great to see people, getting back at it and getting to have things that they didn't have for so long. And it's amazing how people are appreciating it, and we're appreciating it, to be honest. Like, we're having, some insane gigs, and we played one of our favorite venues in Aspen, the Belly Up Aspen, 2 weeks ago. And, the first night opened and it sold out in 2 days. And then we opened a second night on the Thursday, and that also sold out. And it was just mental. The energy in these places has been completely off the charts. So it's been cool to see. It's been great. And like I said in the beginning, we are hoping for the same trajectory to play out in South Africa with, I'm seeing a lot of my friends getting vaccinated over there, and and I'm hoping that the spreads of the vaccinations happens quick and fast, and we can get back at it. We're aiming to come back in December and get our groove on in Cape Town and South Africa, and that would be like the ideal Christmas present for us.
No, I think everyone is looking forward to that. I mean, just Submerged Sundays. Everyone's been talking about it. I think since Shimmy, I think that closed down or something like that, and that's where you guys were quite a lot. So just in terms of, the culture, COVID has really affected a lot of venues, that sort of stuff. I can imagine for you guys coming back home and just showing support, to your home country and the guys that really have been here from 2010 or so. That must be something that you're looking forward to and quite excited about.
We'll figure out some way to play.
All right, and just want to go back to the fans, just that element. You spoke a little bit now about the fact that just the energy and seeing people out there, it's absolutely crazy right now. And the last time we spoke, you guys had mentioned the fact that live gigs are so different for you guys because you're almost always reworking your music. There's so many different remixes to the original track. And is that something that also is pretty cool about having the live element of a crowd there, because you've got an immediate reaction as opposed to the pandemic where it was all via social?
Totally. There's nothing more honest than a dance floor. There literally is nothing more honest than a dance floor. I don't think there's anything more honest than a dance floor. If people aren't feeling it, they get off it. They leave us and they feel fine about it. Except for your three mates who supporting you. But that's the best way to test music always, Go play it in front of people and it's even playing it to our wives or our fiancés or our friends, just someone will walk into the studio and we'll play them a song, and before they've even said anything, we'll know already what we need to change. Or it's just, there's something about being in front of other people where your perception kind of picks up on how other people are reacting to it, and then you pick up on it, because when you're just playing it to yourself, you're in this closed feedback loop and you don't really get to, you basically essentially are kidding yourself. So it's just great to bring some honesty into a room, and there's nothing better than some tough love when something sucks.
The other thing that's kind of been happening a lot now that we're getting out and about and seeing people, fans and that is how there has been to like the live streams, and like so many, like the number one thing that we've had from like multiple different people is like people just being like amazing, like thankful, like because we're playing these gigs that are kind of weird because they're kind of like either in our lounge or somewhere kind of fairly random compared to like 2 years ago, and like and the reaction has been like really incredible. And I think it was this amazing thing that we were able to do during a tough time, and I'm so glad that we were able to experience this different way of doing things. And I'm hoping I'm hoping that there's some offloads out of this, because obviously we travel all over the world playing, but we can't get everywhere. So we are going to still try and stream some of our shows, especially at super cool venues. And when we get a chance, we definitely still going to try and stay on that train and keep the fans all over the world able to kind of experience what we're experiencing.
Nice. Now, you guys have been doing this for over a decade, and something that I've always just found so interesting is how you're able to adapt, I guess, to music, different situations. 10 years ago, I think a radio record, for instance, it could be 4 or 5 minutes long in a sense. And we know with house music and dance, it sometimes does tend to be. These days, we're seeing tracks that are about 2.5 minutes long, under 3 minutes. Even the latest single, Love Everlasting, it's just shy of 3 minutes. I'm always interested in creatively for you guys. Is that a little bit tougher? Has it become difficult? Because I mean, now you've probably got so many elements and you've got to try to squeeze it in, or I don't know, do you enjoy having the freedom or keeping it shorter, if that makes sense?
Dave and I
spend
more time arguing about how many choruses we can put into 3 minutes than we do about making the music. Honestly, it's a double-edged sword, because there is, with limitations, always breeds creativity. And that's the way you have to approach it. So as people's sort of flavors and tastes and attention spans change, I'm looking at you, TikTok, change. You have to find ways to actually distill what your idea is and your melodies and your art into something which people will grab onto quicker, because people just don't have time or they don't have the attention spans. And that can be kind of interesting as well. Like, how do we take something that's more broad form and really bring it down to its real essence? So that's the fun part about it. The bad part about it is sometimes, especially for dance music, which is more of a landscape and about build and tension and release, that becomes less possible when it's like speed dating.
Yep.
You can't have this beautiful romantic build-up, But certain songs lend themselves to fast and slow as well, something that's quick or short. But I do miss the more long form stuff. You listen to older dance music, or even older music like Hotel California or Guns N' Roses, November Rain. Those songs are 6-7 minutes long, and that's so awesome because of that.
Or Bohemian Rhapsody. I mean, I think Bohemian Rhapsody is probably one of the ultimate ones, or Stairway to Heaven. But you know what? Those songs are cool and everything, and it's just it's kind of just where you mentioned, it's kind of just where we're at. And if you don't package the music in the right format, doesn't matter how good your song is, it's just not going to see the light of day these days, unfortunately. But that's what albums are for, and that's what that's the joy of all these streaming services, is that you can we can put out the longer versions. We can make for instance, we put out the Deep Fish mix of Forever Free, and I think we put out 4 or 5 different versions, including one with no vocals. We actually, it was kind of a funny story. We got it back from a guy who does our mastering, and we always get a dub mix, with no vocals of songs. And I was listening back to it to check the master, and I was like, whoa, we have to release this. But it was already too late. I had to phone the label. We're like, dudes, hold the phone. we got another track we need to squeeze onto this release. And it's just funny how things work out sometimes.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I want to chat about the new single, Love Everlasting. You guys always win every single time. I don't know if it's just me, but that jazz and that comes through in the production, it's just so beautiful. I mean, with that bass, you almost feel like you're getting ready to jump and dance, and you just sort of breathe. And I want to find out from you guys, the song has been redone so many times in so many different countries. I mean, from the 60s, I think it was. And for you guys, what is the concept behind refreshing it again and making it sound very current and still, paying homage, I guess, to what was done before?
Yeah, it actually is an interesting one because it's, when I was growing up, I heard the song as a cover version already. It's like, it wasn't even like the original that saw the light of day. So it's kind of interesting in that way. It's almost become like a jazz standard where the songs kind of just got redone so many times that it became like a normal thing to redo that song. The funny thing with this track is that it fits the story of the song fits it in so well with what's been happening with Goldfish Man on his epic adventures through time and space, that when we came across the idea for this track, it was like we have to actually do it for him because he's had such a torrid
time. If you're wondering
time.
what Dave's talking about, it's our Goldfish Man character for the viewers out there who may not have seen our music videos. But yeah, we've made a bunch of music videos with this little Goldfish Man. You should go check them out, /Goldfish Live on YouTube. And there's a new installment of this one, which Dave, continue, Dave.
Yeah, no worries. I will continue. Anyway, so he's been having a tough time. And it was kind of a cross-pollination between creative centers where it was like, obviously we make songs and like we also make these music videos, and they both have like hugely creative kind of like inputs and storylines and like tales, and there's a history and like the music, and in this case they kind of like collided, which is kind of the first time I think that's really happened like in that kind of way. It was like, should we do this? It's kind of cheesy, it's like we don't really do songs about love generally. Like, I don't know if you like in the Goldfish lore, I don't think there's any references up till now. I don't know, maybe I've missed one.
Love and hate, maybe there's one off the first album.
There's like, exactly, there's one or two. I mean, that's a bit more edgy. Love and hate is not necessarily about look into my eyes. Then you realize. Yeah. Into my eyes.
I actually love the fact that you mentioned Goldfish Man, because I wanted to bring up Goldfish Man as well as the Fish Princess, because that's something I've been interested in, with the development of your music videos. And is this a storyline that's going to carry on moving forward? Because you sort of watch the videos and I'm like kind of invested now. When I saw Love Everlasting, I was like, oh, damn, this is cool. So are we going to carry on, with that theme?
For sure.
Oh, yes.
For sure. We're actually working on a bunch of, we're always working on music videos and some other very exciting projects, also animated related, which you'll be the first to hear about them when we've solidified and completed them. But yeah, the music videos, music videos are such a tricky one because we're not watching music videos in the way that we did back in the day when people watched MTV or, VH1, etc., MTV base. But there's still like a huge part of YouTube life and of just another way to like tell a story. And our fans have, because we've had this long, like you said, lineage of animated music videos, which are actually really hard to make and really time consuming. We work with some really talented animators, and Matt Sarode and Mike Scott. They're doing the actual legwork, which is just like draw this little thing, then draw it again slightly different, then draw it slightly different, then draw it slightly different, and that's like 1 second. And you have to make 3 minutes. But it's like another way for us to tell a story and another sort of part of the vibe of Goldfish. I feel like we've got a bunch of different we're like a multi-pronged goldfish with many fins. And I don't think we'll ever stop doing it. We love it so much. It's infinite creativity in the way that normal music videos of like girls by the pool and self-congratulatory DJing in front of a crowd can get a little bit stale. So we get to do something different with that.
Yeah, nice. And you guys have invested, so much time in your careers, even before that, to making your sound really crisp and unique to who Goldfish is. And a lot of the time I've found that, when you've got a cool sound that's very trendy, people are able to dig in and take, and I want to say borrow, but a lot of the time in music, people don't communicate. And no one's really been able to do that with Goldfish's sound. It's still cool, still current, still fresh, but it's not like anyone can necessarily replicate it. What are the secrets to all of that? Like, what's the Goldfish signature that you guys are holding on to?
I mean, I think it's definitely, we've always tried to make our music unique, however that is achieved, and we've always strived to be, to stick to our organic elements, and just like this, there's definitely certain kind of aspects of music and the way we create music, which definitely lends itself to that occurring. We are fiercely aware that there really is a whole lot of music out there in the world, like a lot. It's, and even more than ever.
40,000 new tracks a day and counting.
And it's exactly. So the space is just constantly being diluted, and there's copycats of every single genre, every single style. One person pops up with a new vibe, and then suddenly there's 1,000 of them in 3 days time, and that's fine. That's the way, that's the way it's always been. It's just kind of amplified now. But when we set out, when we really started Goldfish right at the beginning, the ethos was always to do something different, because we kind of were already, because we were combining the live instruments and the bringing the dance music sound and mashing it up with our jazz backgrounds and all that kind of stuff. We were already like a melting pot of influences, and just they all collided at that point already, just from our just our bases. And then once we kind of got more into production and actually releasing music, it was always been very important, to be original, and it's a harder road to ride down, because you can't jump on waves, you can't jump on trends, you're not looking for the new hot sound. You stick it in your track and suddenly you've got a winner, But I think from a perspective of longevity, it definitely, if you can get it right, then you can be around for a lot longer, because you're not really, yes, you're competing with everybody else in the world, but you're not competing against anybody else in your sound specifically. There are some people who are kind of in the same kind of area, but compared to if we were making hip hop music, there would be everyone would be fighting for the same spot.
For sure. I just wanted to add one thing which kind of came across in my mind while Dave was talking, is that you asked, how does Goldfish not be replicated? And I think for whatever reason, Dave and I, we just can't help our personalities coming through in our music. As hard as we try, every now and again, we'll be inspired by a certain artist or trend, and then it always just ends up not sounding like them and actually sounding like us anyway. And there's that saying, an artist hides him or herself in his work or her work. And that's so true. Somehow just the DNA of who we are as people and who we are, the way we hear things, it just ends up sounding a certain way. And some people are really good at being able to mimic things and copy sounds and trends. I think we're always obviously inspired by different trends and sounds, but somehow it always just ends up,
well, I mean, you can't make
for
music
better or
in a
worse,
vacuum.
sounding like us.
You can't make music in a vacuum. So, you definitely, you're always inspired by all sorts of different things. And that's how our sound has developed over the years. And, being exposed to the massive dance culture in Ibiza for so many years, being residents at Pasha Ibiza, exposed us to You know, the initial explosion when David Guetta kind of really re-emerged on the scene and did all those records with like Will I Am and, you know, and all that kind of stuff. And like, you know, we were there in Pasha the night that they met. It was quite bizarre.
Wow.
And it was from there, like, because we heard someone was like, oh my gosh, Will I Am's here. And they were like, what? And then, you know, and then like fast forward a few months later and suddenly we're like, you know, we're hearing like all these tracks coming out and it's like, whoa, okay, you know. So, you know, these things do, you know, they do influence us and they do, you know, it's definitely not a case of like, oh, we come up with everything ourselves. It's like, no, we're open to influences, but we always have a firm understanding and like belief in what we do and, you know, making it unique. And sometimes we win and sometimes we don't. So generally, hopefully, and I think we've definitely been on a winning streak more than not. So that's cool.
Oh yeah.
Long may that continue.
Yeah, definitely. Please, long may it continue. And that's what I actually wanted to get to, because in the past year and a half or so, we've had Forever Free. I think it was Everything is Changing with Julia Church. And now we've got a brand new one with Love Everlasting. You guys would probably hate this question, but what's coming next? You know, is there a body of work? What are we expecting from Goldfish coming up in the next couple of months? And I just want to say, I hope part of it is coming to South Africa because I've got jab #1, so I'm party ready.
Yes.
Yeah, we've both been jabbed. Hey, Bull, yo, Bull, are you listening? Okay, good. Just checking. Testing 1, 2.
Jeez, only time I've been on a Windows operating system.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, we've had our operating system upgrade.
Yeah, but we're working on another album. That's the main news. We're always working on music, but you know, singles are one thing, like releasing tracks. But you know, there's definitely a bigger picture and play here, and a body of work, and a kind of overarching narrative of you know, a state of the Goldfish, which this album will be. And yeah, actually the challenge has been sort of sorting through the music that we have made, you know, during the last year and a half and deciding what of it makes sense to put together and what other stuff we're sort of putting on the back burner. Yeah, like a lot of those songs, you don't really know until it's done, whether it's actually going to be part of it or not, but then you're still stuck with it and you're like wrestling with this Rubik's Cube until the last second before you can put that puzzle piece in. So it's like first a Rubik's Cube, figure it out, then try and figure out where to put it in the bigger puzzle. And that's where we're at right now is definitely a new album coming next year. Awesome. And a bunch of singles in the interim.
Nice.
I mean, basically, you know, the world has changed. So I had to mute. There's an Air Force base near here, and they're constantly flying, spending the American tax dollars in the air. But just to put into context, like the albums, you know, are not digested like they used to be. You know, and back in the day, we would print up a CD and we'd like make an awesome design and packaging and cool, and then you put it out. You know, nowadays it's kind of like almost the opposite, where it's kind of like a reverse album where we almost have to put all the music out beforehand and then siphon it into an album and the body of work. So it's kind of like a sort of the wrong way around, and it kind of does make the intrinsic concepts of the album more tricky to kind of keep the core, because you know, like time goes on and things change, and well, everything changes as we know by the song, and you know, and so that's kind of like the challenge now. But yeah, we are definitely we're working towards that album release. We're looking at sort of like the first quarter of next year, and in the meantime, we've got more tracks are going to be coming out along the way, and exciting times.
Awesome, guys! Thank you so much for always making time. Some good news from our side. Your latest single, Love Everlasting, is into the top 30 on the 947 Top 40. So we hope to see it in the top 10 in the next few weeks.
Yo, #947 Top 40 CTM.